I just want to take a minute and say thank you to everybody who has, you know, listened to the podcast and listened to the words that I had to say. Thank you for tuning into this episode. This episode, we talk about the power of love. No, it's the power of knowing. The power of knowing versus the power of believing. And the differences between the two, I guess. Not really, though. Everyone knows the difference between believing and knowing. But just a little bit of firsthand experience between believing and knowing, and kind of where I currently am in that period of my life. But thank you for tuning in to the Thousand Ways podcast, Thousand Ways to Say the Same Thing podcast. I welcome you back with open arms and a big hug. Big hug. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? I'm hugging you. Hugging you right now. Take a deep breath. Feels good. I love you. Thank you. And now I'm pulling away and now I'm shaking your hand. Thank you. I appreciate it. The Thousand Ways podcast, you can find it on Instagram. You can also find it on Twitter now. You can follow me on Twitter if you want to follow me on Twitter. I talk some shit and retweet stuff. But yeah, I'm on Twitter. You can follow me on Instagram. You can follow my personal at WL_CZAR. That's my Instagram. You can watch me lift weights. And then coming pretty soon, I'm going to start being a little bit more active on the podcast Instagram. I post some inspirational stuff here and there. Post some reminders about new episodes and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, you can follow me there. And also, you can message me on the email for the Thousand Ways podcast. So it's thousandwayspodcast@gmail.com. If you have any, if you have any questions, if you need some advice, I'd love to help you out. I'd love to just talk to you. Maybe you need some words. You need somebody to talk to. I'm your guy. I'm your hitter. Remember, no one loves you like I do. Okay? Thank you guys for tuning in. And this episode is brought to you by me again. Only me. I keep doing that as a reminder to the universe that at some point we'll have some sponsors, and that'll be fun. That'll be fun for everybody. But yep, I appreciate it. Also, there is a website, the Thousand Ways website, thousandwayspodcast.com, 1000wayspodcast.com. You can find all my shit on there. Find all my shit, all the episodes, all the links to everything, and after this episode, it'll make a little bit more sense. But pretty soon, I'm gonna be offering some, new stuff as far as we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later. But as far as this episode, it's been a long day. I'm kind of scatterbrained, but it does have its moments. I do appreciate you guys listening, and leave a review. Leave a review at the bottom. Rate it 5 stars. Do whatever you need to do. You can tell me it's good, tell me it's bad, but tell me it's good. Rate it 5 stars and tell me it's good. I'm not looking for anybody's approval, but it does help. But I appreciate that, and yeah, enjoy this episode about the power of knowing. And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear. I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full. I've traveled each and every highway, and more, much more than this. I did it my way. Wow, that was fucking loud. Oh my god. Welcome back. What do I call you guys? Do you guys even like being called hitters? What's up, friends? That's lame. What's up, hitters? It's me, the big C, coming at you with some big facts. Oh, shut up. I don't know if anyone heard you, but you can hear my dad yawning. Shut up! There again, live in this one. 2 weeks ago, I came at you with a episode called Sometimes You Just Gotta Believe. Quiet! Wow, dude. He's so rude. He's so rude. Just interrupting right in the middle, you know? Shit. So 2 weeks ago, we had an episode called Sometimes You Just Gotta Believe. And that is very important. Because you do have to believe. The first step in whatever it is that you do in your life is you have to have some sort of belief. But that can only take you so far, which I've realized. Because belief, it's only so strong, you know? There's a power in belief, and there's a power in there's a power in knowing. And that's what we're going to talk about today. The power of knowing. That's the power of knowing. Don't need money. Don't take fame. Don't need credit card to ride this train. So, before we get started, everybody, let me ask the question. Let me ask the important question. How are you? How's everybody doing out there today in the audience? Woo, yeah. What's up? How's everybody doing out there? I don't know. I'm feeling pretty good. And we'll go into that a little bit more. People kind of listen, probably heard a lot of mention of work and my job and all that stuff in the previous Rocky episodes. I will go in depth on that one because it is definitely important. But first things first. I want to try out something a little bit new. Because this podcast is primarily the only reason why I'm here really is because of all my weightlifting and all the stuff that I've done. I'm going to spend the next 10-15 minutes talking about my training, where I'm at, and all that stuff. So if you want to, you can skip ahead to wherever. I'm going to talk to this till about 20 minutes. Hopefully, if I can fucking talk about it for that long. And then we can kind of move forward. But ready? Training talk starts now. So shoot, man. Well, I'm on week 5. Actually, week 5 day 1. Oh, I just did day 1 today. So day 2 of the CrossFit weightlifting program. You could do the same program as me. That's on CrossFitWeightlifting.com. You can do that, and you can do the same program. It's free programming. So I'm on week 5. I found out today I was doing the wrong day, doing the wrong program, wrong day. I was supposed to move on to week 6 because we have a competition coming up at Rep Max Performance. First competition since nationals. That's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. But training's been going good. I mean, as good as it can be. It's almost been a full year. Ow. It's almost been a full year since I injured my wrist. And I'm still having trouble with it, to be honest. Like, it's still irritating. I'm still getting some pain and some irritation in it. And it's definitely been a real pain in the ass with training and coming up. It was weird because like I got hurt back in September, and then right after that, I went and got it checked out by the doctor, all that stuff, and then they put me in a cast, and then I did what was it? I went to my physical therapist, and my physical therapist they gave me my movements and stuff to do, and it felt really good. I was feeling really good, got healthy again. Went to U25, went to nationals, all that stuff, and I don't know whether I pushed through the pain, if it didn't really hurt, or if it just like was super fucked up to where I just couldn't feel it. But then after nationals, I took a break. I took like a 2-3 week break to finish out the busy season at work, and then I took that break. I didn't really do anything. I was doing pulls and all that stuff, and then I came back to training, and like a fucking moron, I went right back into training with like straight in, no kissing. I guess that's the only time where I could really use that and know what it means. Straight in, no kissing. That sounds terrible, bro. But I went straight in to just training heavy again, and I thought it was feeling pretty okay. And then a couple weeks after coming back to training the first time, I PR'd on my jerk. I PR'd on my jerk at 200 kilos. All these lifts, the jerk, my PR jerk is on Instagram. At WL_CZAR. That's my Instagram. But that 200 kilo jerk, that's on Instagram. You could see that I built up to it, and so that was like that's my PR jerk. And then it was like that same day or like the next day, I did like a PR double snatch balance at 160, and like it was just crazy. I was putting so much strain and pain and real no gain on my wrist here, and I started, the pain moved from my wrist into my hand, and then it just started getting really bad. Like I kept taking time off, and it's just been weird where everything, like, it hurts, it doesn't hurt, blah 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 blah. So if y'all got any sweet recipes or any real big recovery movements I can do, just big gains, big facts on my wrist, I'd appreciate it. But yeah, so we're 5 weeks in this program. It's been going pretty good. It's going pretty well. As far as training, I hit a, since nationals, and then like the couple weeks after my first couple weeks back training, I think the heaviest I've snatched since then is 135, and I snatched that a couple days ago. And yeah, that's the heaviest that I've gone. It's just weird. Life has been weird and really affecting training, and I have to stop letting it do that. But I'm doing my best to stay with it, stay on top of it, and train. I'm training 4 solid, like 4 solid days a week, and then an extra like a squat session every every week, and then waking up in the morning just to do some extra stuff, working on my weaknesses, and gosh, it's just weird talking about training, because all training is just doing it, or just doing snatch and clean and jerk in different positions and all that kind of stuff. I hit a PR back squat. That was pretty cool. I hit a PR back squat at 322, so 322 kilos, which is 710 pounds. I hit a PR back squat. That was pretty sick. That lift is on Instagram as well. You just check that out. We'll talk about that a little bit more, because that kind of ties into what we're doing. I guess overall with training, the most important thing for me is making sure that I'm actually engaged. I'm actually engaged with training, and making sure that I'm getting all my sessions in a week, because it's been before the last 5 weeks, before I really dialed it back in, it was kind of up in the air, because there were some days where everything was just hurt. Like, my wrist was hurting so much where I would take time off or take extra days off and wouldn't really hold myself accountable. But you just kind of have to power through it, because I might sound like a stupid ignoramus for it, but if my wrist is broken, if there's like a stress fracture in there or something, which is most likely the case, stress fractures heal over time. It might take a little bit longer because I'm always using it, but stress fractures heal. Yeah, that sounded pretty stupid in retrospect. I probably should just take it easy. Lift a little bit lighter. But we got a tune-up meet coming up. Not a tune-up meet. It's going to be a really cool meet up at Rep Max. And I think another 3 weeks or 2 weeks. This full week, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so like 2 weeks and then a deload. We'll see. Clean and jerks have been fine. Really, it's just a snatch game that I'm trying to dial in. Really with working my overhead stuff, because ever since I snatch balance at 160, I haven't done another snatch balance till very recently. And it's kind of weird when you don't work on something and then your body falls apart and you're like, why the fuck can't I do it? It's probably because you haven't been working on the thing that you need to work on, bud. So I've been doing extra snatch balances every morning. But clean and jerks feel fine. I clean and jerk 182. 182. That's the heaviest that I've gone since I clean and jerked 188 again at like Fallbrook CrossFit. And that was about a month or so ago. I don't really push it that much. I gotta train smarter. Training smarter. I've realized, thanks to my wonderful life partner, Bailey, she has really put into perspective for me how over the course of my entire weightlifting career, the last 3 years, weightlifting career, 3 years, my weightlifting hobby, what's that saying? If you don't make money at it, it's just a hobby. Whack. Over the last 3 years of my, the first 3 years of my weightlifting career, the way that I've trained has kind of, even though I've done I've had different coaches and had different programs and all that stuff, I can still remember doing the same stuff ever since I started, which was progressively get heavier and heavier and heavier until it was like failure, and then never really go down and do more reps on reps to build strength. It was always just go up, and then when you're up, you're done. And this morning I was having real problems with my wrist, and I was supposed to be 3-position snatch, high hang, regular, and then from the ground snatch. And I just couldn't crank on my wrist as much, so I was just doing singles, and I worked up to 125. But I was doing that. I when I got to 120, I did 120 for like 5 or 6, and then I did 125 for like 3, just to build better movement patterns, and I felt better about that than just going up and up and up and then fucking myself over and then getting pissed because I couldn't hit a heavy number. It's dumb. It's dumb. Oh my god. Okay, almost 16 minutes. Almost 16 minutes. Let's go. Let's keep this going. I got new wrist wraps. I got new wrist wraps from Fix Solid Heavy. Her and I are kind of working on something where we're thinking about. We're working on. I'm just kind of testing stuff out for her where it's more like a scaphoid wrap, where it kind of focuses more on the scaphoid part of your wrist, where it's still in the beta stages, but it'll get better. But I've been using it, and it definitely helped me out when I was using it. So it's be on the lookout for that soon. We're gonna test it out more, and hopefully she unveils it later on this year. That'd be pretty sick. All right. That's solid 15 minutes about training. Next time, I'll take more notes. Next time I'm training. I think key things that I'm learning about training. What is this? A weightlifting podcast? Kinda. All right. So now that we're at the part of the show that really matters. Sometimes you just gotta believe, and then sometimes you just gotta know. So the power of knowing, from my experience, and it's probably an experience that a lot of people have had, in a good way or a bad way, has always come from the fact that either that it works both ways, I guess. It works both ways, the power of knowing. Because believing that something's going to go right and something's going to go wrong, you leave yourself room to be surprised at the result. You're like, I believe everything will work out okay, but if it doesn't, it's all right. And then I believe everything will go wrong, but if it doesn't, it's okay. But if you think about knowing when something's going to go right, and knowing that something's going to go wrong, there's no room to be surprised when the opposite happens. You don't leave yourself open like that. So I guess the most important part about all this is really where it happens to me, on what's going on with me. Now, I love doing this podcast. I want to do it forever until I die. I love weightlifting, and I want to do that forever until I die. If there's anything that I don't like to do, it's waste my time in between the two, when I could be focusing on one thing or the other, giving more solid attention to one thing or the other. That's just life. It happens. You need to have a balance, but you need to have a balance of good things that you do, good things that you're invested in. But sometimes in life, oh my goodness. Sometimes they don't think it be like it is, but it do. Did you hear me? You hear me, everybody? Sometimes they don't think it be like it is, But it do. You know what that means? Yeah, think about it. So, in the position that I'm in now, in the position I'm in now, back in September, it was like September of last year, so like a full year now. That's when I had gotten hurt, and then that's when I had gotten let go from the 2 jobs that I was working before. And I was put in a really hard position where I had the choice to, you know, kind of take a step back, reevaluate my life, and put myself in a position to go forward in a good, in a good way, in a way that could have benefited me a little bit more. Sure, that doesn't always happen. It doesn't always happen when you it doesn't always work out like that. That's just not how life works. So just kind of picture yourself in whatever it is that you're doing and whatever it is that you're passionate about, and it just kind of kicks you in the ass, and you don't know if you can stand back up and fight it again. You don't know if you can really do it again. That's kind of what happened with me with weightlifting, where I got hurt, and I was afraid that I didn't know if I could ever do it again. I was, sitting there thinking that I had broken my wrist, and I didn't know if I can come back from it. and then I got let go from 2 jobs, and then I just kind of felt worthless all around. So what I ended up doing, because I got really frightened at the time, because I didn't have any real prospects at that time, I went right back to the job that I had left previously. Now, doing that, I honestly felt like a big old bitch. I felt like a dog. Who just shit on the ground, and then, you rub your dog's face in it so they never do it again. And then they just kind of look at you with sad eyes with their tail between their legs, and then they just kind of walk off and then like go hide under the table. Yeah, I felt like that. I was like, I'm sorry. I just, in my mind, I was like, I'm sorry that I left. I should have never left. I should have sat and focused and done my job. I did leave a role of responsibility. So, I would be remiss if you guys didn't give me my job back. I would understand, but they were excited to have me back, and I was like, oh, sweet. So it was almost like I had never left. And then I don't know, I just felt like some weird animosity from management and the people that I was working with, where it was like, oh, they know that I had left and they're giving me a second chance. So to prove myself, they're like, here, let's put you in a role where you're helping out other stores, and then hopefully find you a spot, a role of responsibility. And, later on down the road, that's what ended up happening in December of 20, whatever the fuck. What year are we in now? 2019. In December of 2018, I was set to take over a store, and I was the manager. They put me in charge. I was the manager of a store. I didn't want that job. I didn't want it. But I felt like I had to take it because I had to prove to whoever it was above me that, I wasn't a piece of shit, and I was very grateful for the opportunity that they had handed to me. And I know you're probably sitting there like, what the fuck are you talking about? You stop being an idiot. It's just a job. Yes. Understood. Thanks. That's just not how I felt. That's not how I operate. Sometimes I have designer jackets, made from emotions. And they put their labels on the sides. They put their label emotions on the sleeve. And I just kind of wear those every day. You know, it just sleeves full of emotions, you know? So it's just really hard for me to not look out and care for other people, even though it's not my position to. It's just a habit, a bad force of habit. So I took this job and I didn't want it. Like I'm sure people out there listening to this show are, you know, in the same position. They went to school for something and then they're in a job that they don't want. They're, I don't know. What's your situation? Tell me. What's your situation? You know, there's a really good quote from Bill Burr. That that I'll read a little bit later. But it's just about, you know, what's the worst that can happen? You know? But I didn't want that job. And I took it anyway. Put myself in a role of responsibility that I didn't need to. And, you know, I did my best because that's the kind of person that I am. But over the course of time, I just kind of paid attention to how it affected me personally and how it affected me mentally. You know, having to be in charge of just a bunch of college age kids going to school, and they have college age kids attitudes. You know, it's not the easiest thing in the world. They're great kids and they're great people, but goddamn, are they kind of not the best employees when they have other things on their mind? But I'm not anywhere to judge, because it's like these kids are 19, 20. I'm 22. What the fuck am I doing? You know, if not the same thing. I remember sitting there before I took the job. I told them, one day, weightlifting is gonna come calling and to take me away from this, and I'm gonna go. And I don't know if they didn't believe me. I don't know if they kind of rubbed it off and were like, sure, okay, or if it was just something where it was like, okay, all right, well, in that case, do the best you can, and that's what I try to do. So long story short, it eventually got to the point where, and I've talked about this a little bit earlier in another episode. I think it was the third place at nationals, third place in life episode, where I talked about what it was like during the busy season and how I made a bunch of excuses for myself that I shouldn't have. And those are the excuses and those are the reasons why I took third place instead of second place. You know, I stopped trading 4 or 5 days a week and only went to 1 to 2 days, and stopped taking care of myself. You know, what if I had done that consistently for 5-6 weeks, what if, I would have made my first snatch and then made my second, made my third, and then did my clean and jerks the way it did, I would have been second place in nationals instead of third, But even regardless of working, 60, 65 hours a week there, and I was still capable of doing what I was able to do at nationals, and I came back and I just felt empty inside. And I don't know, it's kind of like the post-concert blues that you get, or for my other weightlifters out there, like that have done really well in a meet, and you're hanging out with all your buds over the weekend, anything, like when you go back to work that Monday after, and you just kind of feel empty because you're like on that Saturday or Sunday you had just done the best that you could and whatever it is that you love to do, and something that you love to do, and then you're going right back to regular life on Monday, and you don't feel the same way about it. So I felt that way, just kind of magnified. And then it just kind of got worse and worse because summer was there. Kids, guys, the employees that I had were calling off work. I was just left. It was just, responsibility was just left up to me. They did the best they could, and I appreciate all their efforts and everything that they did. But there's no such thing as a bad team, just a bad leader. And I allowed myself to become a bad leader because I had kind of pulled out as far as I can. I still had my toes. I had my toes in the water. I had my toes in the water, and my hand on the towel. Then towels, weightlifting, and towels, the podcast, the towels, everything else that I would like to do. But I'm still got my foot in the water, and the breaking point really just came. The breaking point came just about a month ago. It was about a month ago where I'm just sitting there and nothing's really going on. I'm everything, all the work is done because there's nobody coming in the door, and I'm just sitting there on the computer trying to find something to do, and I just kind of sit and go, what am I doing with my time? What am I doing with my life? Like, this time I'll never get back. I could be doing so much more, but I'm not. And it just kind of hit me, kind of smacked me in the face a little bit, and I was happy that it did. So now it comes down to the power of knowing. The first move that I took the day that I decided that I wasn't going to work at that company anymore, or for the foreseeable future, I came home. And I sat and I thought to myself, okay, what is it that we're trying to do? What is it that you're trying to do? And I made a list, and there's two things. Just weightlifting and podcasting. Weightlifting and podcasting. And when I broke it down a little bit more, podcasting was put out more episodes, have more guests, just become a bigger, better show. Better show, and down the line have it work out whatever way it works out. And then weightlifting was obviously, be part of a world team, be part of Team USA, make a stipend, get some sponsors. And then one of the biggest things that I saw was that I wrote down was, start coaching somehow. Cause I love it. I love breaking it down. I love the backside of it. And I was wondering how can I do it? So I was looking on the computer, and I've wanted to get my USA Level 1 done for the longest time. My USA Level 1 done for the longest time, and for whatever reason, I've just never looked into it, even though there was one down the street from where I, maybe 15, 20 minutes away from where I worked down in San Diego County that I could have went to, but I didn't for whatever reason. Now I have to drive out to LA to do it. So I looked it up, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this opportunity, or there's an opportunity here. What am I going to do about it? Am I just going to sit and let it pass me by, or am I going to do something about it? And I looked at the dates. I looked at when it was all going down, and it popped up, August 24th and 5th at Waxman's Gym in LA. And I'm sitting there just looking at it like, hey, this is a sign. Take it whatever way that you will, but to me, it's one of those things where everything just happens. Everything has to happen for a reason. Whether that reason is significant or not, that's up to you to decide. But sometimes you just got to open your eyes and know that doors start opening up for you when you are on the right path. And this was the beginning of the month, or like the end of last month, like the end of July, start of August. And I didn't have enough money. I knew when I was going to get paid. I knew all this stuff. I had it planned out. When I was going to pay for it, when I was going to take care of it, and I did it. And I booked it the day that I got paid, and that's where I'm going. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing that this coming weekend at Waxman's Gym, the 24th and 25th. Now, being a USAW level 1 coach, that's cool. That's going to be cool. That's going to be exciting. And, I'm sitting there, I'm booking it I'm paying for it on the work computer, on the work computer. And I'm looking at my cousin, my little Santi, and I tell him, like, this is a lot of money. It's no joke. It's $500 to go and do this. And I grab it. I grab my card and I pay for it. And I tell him, you know what? It's $500 now. I go, I learn it. I become a coach. $500 is nothing compared to a lifelong eternity to not taking a step forward and being afraid. Knowing, believing that someday something is going to get better, instead of knowing that someday something's going to get better. Now, call me what you will. Call me a hopeless romantic for meaning. Call me a stupid kid. Call me whatever you want. Ultimately, this was the decision that I made, and this is what's going to work out. This is what I know is going to work out. I'm putting it out there to the universe. I'm putting it out there to you guys. It wasn't until the day after that I had seen the registration stuff where, once again, there was another sign. Another thing that happened where I knew that I was kind of taking a step in the right direction. The next morning, Bailey had to go get she went to her dentist appointment to get her wisdom teeth taken out. And we had gone to Target right before, and on our way to Target, we were talking about how her little sister had hurt herself in the weight room at school, just weightlifting, not weightlifting, but just doing deadlift. And that's because they didn't teach deadlift right. They weren't teaching deadlift right. And, it's funny because firsthand, Bailey and I have both gone to a couple high schools to teach kids how to lift, just to volunteer our time to teach these kids how to lift properly. And when you watch them do it, it's like, they're like, why the fuck? Who's teaching you guys this? Who's teaching you guys how to do this? Because you're not doing it right. You're going to get hurt. I remember back in high school when I was first learning how to do like power snatches, power cleans, and jerks and all that shit. Countless injuries, countless shoulder, back, knee injuries because of poor coaching and nobody taking the time to really learn the Olympic lifts, even though every fucking sport needs them and uses them. Why don't you take the time to break it down? And I understand there's a time crunch. I understand I understand that you only have so much at your disposal. I understand that you, whatever your excuse is as to why you're not learning the Olympic lifts to teach your athletes. But wouldn't it be better if if your athletes were healthy and were able to compete and able to like play? I don't know if anyone's seen it, but it's on, if you look at Travis Mash's Instagram, or not Instagram, his Twitter, there's a kid who's cleaning 295 pounds, but he catches that shit by like his stomach, and then whoever's in front of him, there's a teacher in front of him helping, like spotting him to stand up, and it's just insane. Like it was just crazy, and there was it was like a huge riot on Twitter about how this is what's being taught in schools, and it's like, again, that was another sign for me. So that day we went to Target, and then we ended up seeing her sister at Target. It was a funny coincidence, and I just asked her, what's going on? Why are things not going well? Like why are people getting hurt? And she's just like, because people don't know. People aren't telling you. People aren't teaching you. And that kind of got me going. That kind of sparked an interest in me, and it kind of sparked an idea where I was like, shit. Like I just saw the seminar. Like I just saw the seminar opening, and now I'm hearing about this, and this is something that I've done before, and this is something that I love doing. I love teaching these kids how to lift properly and stay safe and get better. What if I took that and I try to turn that into some sort of job? I took that and I went to schools and I was like, hey, this is what I do. Let me help you. Whatever way that works. Whatever way I can do that. And again, call me a stupid kid. Call me whatever fucking name you want. Call me an idiot for leaving a management position at a company that I can't grow into. I'm at the highest spot that I'll ever be at in that company. To leave something like that to go find a made up position, or try to weasel my way into a position that I make up for myself, or something that's not there. You know what? That's where the power of knowing comes in. Because I can sit there and believe. I can believe in myself. I can believe in everything that I want to achieve. But there's a different gear that I've been kicked into, that I've kicked myself into, where I know that I'm on the right path and I know I'm doing the right thing. And anyone who's out there who's taking that leap and taking that risk to go out and make something of themselves knows that it's just a different gear. You know that things are going to work out. Even if things don't look like they're going to, you gotta believe. No, not believe. You gotta know that things are going to work out. There was a cool thing. Yeah, it was the thing that I read from Bill Burr. There was a thing that I read from Bill Burr that really resonated with me, and it was, realize that sleeping on a futon when you're 30 is not the worst thing. You know what's worse is sleeping in a king bed next to a wife you're not really in love with, but for some reason you're married, you got a couple kids, and you got a job you hate. You'll be laying there fantasizing about sleeping on a futon. There's no risk when you go after a dream. There's a tremendous amount of risk to playing it safe. So, shit, man. I like Bill Burr a lot. I like him, and he's a comedian, but he has that life experience. He's got that real life experience where, he had to go out and take what he had to go out and take it. He had to go out and do what he had to do. And speaking about, going out and taking something, just going out and going after it. I listened to John North's podcast, the Red Circle Radio, and he was talking about how it kind of played into the power of knowing, because the power of knowing is a powerful tool when you're going up in ranks, when you're going up in ranks and you're trying to be better, you're trying to better yourself. He said something that I actually am doing now. He asked a couple questions, and he's like, what are you ranked? Who's in front of you? And when do you compete next? And if you don't even know that, if you don't know any of the answer to any of those, can you honestly say that you're focused on getting better? And it's you could change those questions up in any way you want to. What are you ranked? What are you ranked? That could be something different. It could be, what's the rating? What's the rating on your film? How many views do you have? Something like that. What where are you putting your art? What galleries? Who's in front of you? Who's in front of you? Oh my gosh. Freaking idiots. Savages. Idiots. Who's in front of you could be different things, like, where do you want to get your painting into? What galleries do you want to get them into? What award shows do you want to get into with your films? What who's who is in front of you? And when do you compete next? When's the next thing? When's it coming out? When are you making it true? When are you making it possible to be ranked a little bit better, to see who's in front of you? And he said it in a manner where he took his wife's lipstick and then he put it and wrote it on his bathroom mirror and would look at it every single day, and he would write the names of the people who were ranked above him, who were ranked above them, who he would focus on who was in front of him, and when he competed next. And I wrote that down in my book. I wrote that down in one of my journals, and there's 7 people ahead of me. 7 people ahead of me. Or 9 at this. Well, no, right now I'm number 9 on USAW. But 2 of those guys, I think might be like accidental entries. I don't know. Go and look for yourself. I don't know if you look at 1 or 9 plus. So if I'm 7, there's 6 guys. If I'm 9, there's 8 guys. But you know what? It doesn't fucking matter, because they're in front of me, and I gotta focus on when I compete next and what I do next. But I really respected that. I really appreciated what he said. I really liked that idea where, it's, you're going to be on top at some point. You're going to be on top, but you have to know who's in front of you. You have to know where you are now, and you have to know when you have to perform again, when you get the other opportunity to just be better. There's something that I heard. Bill Burr talk about. Because obviously, when you do something like this, like something stupid and reckless, like what I'm doing, obviously you're gonna have doubts, and obviously you're gonna have doubts. Obviously, you're gonna be kind of scared shitless on what's next, because you're so comfortable with where you are currently. It could all be gone. It could all be gone. It could all be taken away if you make the wrong move. But if your power of knowing is strong enough, you really don't have to worry about it. But when Bill Burr talks about the doubts that he's had in his life, or when he was a struggling comedian trying to be better, trying to go out and do more and make it. He said that there was a time where he lived in New York, and New York is expensive, and he's not making that much money, and he's sitting there just doubting himself whether or not he's going to make it. And the thing that he would do to reassure himself is he would talk out loud to himself. And he would talk to himself, and he would say, he's like, when you have those intrusive thoughts, on what if this doesn't work out? What if I go hungry? What if I go broke? And he would sit and he would go, nope, that's not going to happen. And he would say it as many times as he needed to until he believed it, or until that invading thought went away. And I gotta tell you, that's a really powerful thing. That's a really powerful tool. That's a really big thing that I've tried. And again, it's just reassuring the stuff that you already know, reassuring the stuff that you already know is going to happen, that you are going to make it, that you are going to do it, you are going to be successful, you are going to get out there, you are going to do more. So, back in, it was in March. So March 17th, I had PR'd my back squat at 320, the original time that I had tried it, at 320, 705 pounds. Fast forward to a couple weeks ago where I tried to do it again. But I tried to do 321. So I do 321, and I messed up. I didn't do it. I failed the lift, and it came off, and it's just loud as fuck. It's just heavy, it's a bunch of weight falling off. But I failed at that PR attempt, and that was like 5 months later, or like 4.5 months later. And it was just a random day, just a random day. I went to bed the night before, knowing that I was going to wake up the next day to train, to do something. I was going to wake up early to do something, whether that was, whether that was squat heavy, or snatch balance, or do whatever I had to do. I knew that I was going to wake up and do it. And it was Friday. Yeah, Friday the 17th. Or Saturday the 17th. Sorry, Saturday. Whatever day. It was Saturday. Yeah, Saturday the 17th. It's funny because it was exactly March, April, May, June, July, August. It was exactly 5 months to the day that I PR'd. But I'm sitting downstairs. I wake up early. And I feel it in my heart and my gut. I'm like, we're gonna do something big today. Don't know what it is yet, but we're gonna do something big today. So go downstairs, go into the garage, start squatting. And I'm like, okay, my main goal is to blow up and act like I don't know nobody. My main goal for that day was to blow up. My main goal for that day was I wanted to back squat 300 for a triple. And as ambitious as that sounds, I've done it for a double, couldn't get the triple. And I was like, okay, it's going to happen. I'm going to fucking do it. I'm going to make sure it's going to happen today. I know that it's going to happen. As I was taking the weights and I was working my way up to, I went from, put all the reds on. So it was like 70, 120, 170, 220. And then 270. So I got to 270. 270 was hard. It was heavy. And then I got to 300. 300 was pretty heavy. I didn't, for whatever reason, I wasn't confident in myself to back squat 300 for a triple, but I still knew I was going to do something big. So it was just like, fuck it, let's do it. So I put 322 on, and mind you, it's 7:30 in the morning. 7:30 in the morning. People are asleep. It's Saturday morning. My neighbors just had a baby. They just had a baby, a newborn. So if I drop the weight, if I drop any weight, it's going to wake them up. They're going to be pissed. I'm going to wake up everybody in the house. They're going to be pissed. It's just no good for everybody. And it's interesting the way that it happened. I went up to the weight. I went up to the weight, went up to 322 the first time. I went up, I stood under it. I got under the bar, stood it up, and I just stood there and held it for a second, and I re-racked it. Getting just feeling it on my back. There was a little doubt there. Because it was 710 pounds, man. This shit's heavy. And then the second time that I went up to the bar, held it a little bit longer, and felt it on my shoulders and my back and my stomach. I knew that it was going to hurt. I knew that it was going to be heavy, but in my heart, I knew that I could do it. So I re-racked the weight, and that last attempt, I'm sitting there getting in between each time I lifted the bar up. I'm sitting there thinking in my head, I'm like, oh man, this is hard. This is going to be hard. I don't think I can do it. And then out loud to myself, I'm like, shut up. You can do it. You can do it. No one can do this except you. You can do this. This is yours. This is yours to take. You go and do it. And I'm telling myself this. I'm reaffirming stuff that I already know that I can do. So I stand under it the third time, unrack it. I go down, hit my depth. I come up, and then 3/4 of the way, I don't know if you ever been on a fucking grinder of a squat, but that point where you're right back above parallel, almost 3/4 of the way up. And that tends to be the hardest part, just the last little bit. And I'm sitting there and I'm grunting and just like grunting my head off. And I don't typically grunt when I squat, but I'm sitting there going just like, and like growling to get up. And I look at the side of the at the bar, and I remember looking at it when I failed 321. Like 2.5 weeks prior. And I remember where it was in comparison to like where the ground is and where it is on my body. And I'm looking at it, and I remember where it stopped at 321. And then I remember where it stopped at 322, where it just momentarily paused. And then just to get up and push through it, I wasn't going to drop it. I wasn't going to let it go down. I wasn't going to nothing. That was mine. And I pushed it up, and I just remember pushing as hard as I could, and eventually it got to the point where it was like, oh, okay, it's still moving, it's still going. And you just have to fight with it. Everybody out there knows that they're capable of doing something. Everybody out there knows that they're capable of living the life that they want to live, or achieving the life that they want. And again, life, a comfortable life isn't bad. Marrying early, having kids early, having a good job, that's not bad. I'm not saying that that's bad. That's not for, it's not for me. I want that on my terms, but I'm not saying that it's bad for everybody else. I want people to be happy. I want people to sit there and know that things are going to work out, and things are going to go their way. Things are going to go their way, and they don't have to doubt anything. They don't have to doubt themselves. There's ways that you can get past that. And that's why I opened this podcast up with that song My Way by Frank Sinatra. You know, if there's anything that you need, if there's anything that you listen to in that song, it's it's exactly what every person is capable of. You know, he talks about the regrets that he's had. He goes, regrets, I've had a few. And then again, too few to mention. He did what he had to do, and he saw it through without exemption. He planned his course, each careful step along the byway, and more, he did it his way. And then, oh my gosh, dude, this song is great. I mean, you just kind of think about it. I'm kind of reading. I'm reading the lyrics. I'm reading the lyrics, and there, you know, there's, everyone has those things. Everybody has those things where, I don't know what it is. I think it's calm, it's peaceful, it's serenity, or it's some visceral reaction that you have to things that mean the world to you. I don't know. It was after like spending the time at the watering hole up north on my vacation. We were there, you know, all day. And if you know anything about Northern California, it's a bunch of farmland. And just kind of wide open. And we're just driving back. The windows are open. It's nice. It's like 70, 75 degrees outside. It's a little chilly, a little cool, but it's warm at the same time. I just remember feeling the sun on my face, seeing the sunset over like the large wheat, like just grasslands. Just the large grasslands that are out there. And I just remember driving through it, and it's like, this is beautiful. Like, this is what life is. It's these small little moments, you know, that everyone has. Everyone has them, and everyone should pay attention to them, because they don't really happen. You have to be mindful of the things that happen. And I remember back in, I think it was about a year ago, or like half a year ago, like 6 months ago. Oh no, it must have been soon. It must have been earlier, or less. You know, like 3 or 4. No, between a day and a year ago, where I was listening to this song on the way to training, and it was the way to training, on the way back from training. I put the song on, and Bailey's in the car with me, and she's listening to it. And her and I had just had a conversation about, you know, what I want to do with my life, and things aren't going so hot for me, and it's just really rough for me. And she starts listening to the song, and I start listening to the song, and I really start listening to the words, and I start crying, and she starts crying. And it's kind of like she goes, I understand you. I understand what you're doing. And it's like, it's a moment like that, you know, moments like that. Moments like that. Look, I'll go ahead and read the lyrics. So, I don't know, should I read them or should I sing them? And now the end. That's a long song. So he goes, and now the end is near, so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear. I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full. I've traveled each and every highway. And more, much more than this, I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few. but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do and saw it through without exemption. I planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, he's fucking at me, Frank, when I bit off more than I could chew, but through it all, when there was doubt, I ate it up and spit it out. I faced it all, and I stood tall and did it my way. I've loved, I've laughed and cried. I've had my fill and my share of losing. And now, as tears subside, I find it all so amusing. To think I did all that, and may I say, not in a shy way, oh no, not me. I did it my way. This is the part that always gets me. For what is a man? What has he got? If not himself, then he has not to say the things he truly feels, and not the words of one who kneels. The record shows I took the blows and did it my way. Yes, it was my way. This podcast has been all over the place. All over the place. But I like it. That's my show. If there's anything that I want you guys to take away from today, this episode today, to sum it up, I'm a big fucking dope. But in my own way, I have to do the things in my life that are meaningful to me before I do things in my life, that I choose to do unwillingly. There's time and time again, I'll come back to the quote where Jim Carrey talks about how, his dad was a really funny bud, and he never took a chance to be a comedian or anything, but that's why Jim started doing it. But, Jim's dad worked at a factory that he got let go from after like 20 years. And then they were homeless. And Jim goes, you can fail at the things that you can fail at the things that you don't love to do. You can fail at the things that you don't want to do. So why not take a chance at the things that you do want to do? As time goes by and the more and more I think about it, the more and more I'm convinced and happy about the fact that I can sit and make these decisions. I can sit and I can put myself in an uncomfortable position because of what I've exposed myself to already, and because of who I'm surrounded by and what I've learned. And that's the same thing with everybody. Everybody out there is a culmination of their experiences and the people that are around them and who they are, who they're around at the current moment. And if the people around you are holding you back, if the people around you aren't telling you that you can do better and do more, sometimes the person that has to say that is you. I love my life. I love a lot of aspects of my life, and then I hate a lot of aspects of my life because of how I don't know. because of how lazy I can be, how apathetic I can be. But at the end of the day, I did it my way. So, yeah. Thanks. Thanks, everybody. Do it your way. Do it your way. Have it your way. And just think about it. Just think about the things that you know that you're capable of and the things that you know that you can do with your life. And you reassure yourself every time you doubt yourself. Fucking say it out loud to yourself. Tell yourself, no, I can do this. No, you're wrong. I can do this. Because knowing is stronger than believing. Knowing is definitive. There's no surprises with knowing. Yeah. So I appreciate it. Thank you guys for listening to this episode, and I hope you enjoyed. Sorry, this one was kind of all over the place, but we'll be back. I'll be back shortly. We'll put out a little hitter later on this week. Thank you.